This video is going to show a bit of my process starting off a video. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a sequence, like making a new page. So Command N, HDV 1080p 24. Okay, good. And I'm going to bring in this video here. Now it's a keep settings. It's a color video, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it as a track mat. You can see this is blue thing. So if I want to use it as a track mat, it's got to be pure black and white. So I'm going to go to effects. Oh, actually, I won't. I'll go to we'll go to color. So I'll go to basic correction. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the saturation right down, make it black and white, and I'm going to try and give it a bit more contrast. Exposure. I'll pull that down a bit. More contrast. Highlights. Shadows. Whites. And the blacks. So I'm getting a wee bit there, but not a lot. So I'm going to go to the curves. I go to the RGB curves, and I'm going to see if I can give it a bit more contrast. It's the blacks that I want to get going, so I'm going to pull them right down. So that's better. And the whites right up. So I'm getting something that's far more cleaner as a black and white. There's a few grays there, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem. So I'll bump that up a layer. I'll go back to my assembly so I can see my projects easily. And then I'm going to bring in, so I'll bring in this video. Close it up there. And I'll switch the eye off beside that one. So that's going to be my base video. I'm going to, plus I can see that timeline a bit bigger. I'm going to go R. R. Stretch it a little bit, just slowing it down slightly. And if you slow something down, you can control click on it on the layer, and there's an option here that says time interpolation. And if I go optical flow, it usually, when you slow something down, makes it a bit smoother, stops that jutteriness. So V to get the arrow tool, move things around, so I'll move that layer up. And then the one I'm going to put underneath it is this one here of Nathan. So with this one, the first thing we know we're going to do is we're going to do the Ultra key. So I'll bring in the effects. Effects. So I'm going to go to editing. I've got my effects that I've moved over from here. I've just dragged the palette over and put it over here. And I'm going to type in Ultra. drop that on, and actually I'm going to edit it. So I'm going to go to the bit where it's starting to dance. So Q. And here, so I'm going to get that bit there. Use the arrow keys to go through it to where I want. Yeah. And then W is going to, and then I'm going to move that clip in. All right, so Ultra key. Go to the effects, get the eyedropper tool, drop it on here, and then I can go through and look at the alpha. I can go through and do a lot of these same sort of things. So the highlights, I'll get rid of those light spots, shadow, starting to pull a little bit into the shirt. So I'm going to go back to transparency and see if I can get it out that way. Not so easy. So the shadows might have to change a wee bit. Tolerance. And I bumped it up a bit. So there's still a little bit, but hopefully that's not too bad. But I can look at matte cleanup and see if I can change anything here. Spell, no. The range, no, nothing's going to change it too much. So we'll just go with that. We can use a mask to bump bits out if we want. But anyway, this is good. So back to the composite. So we have this. And now I'm going to switch that eye back on. It's probably just going to be starting to come down and affect the clip now. This will get this one of Nathan, go to the effects, and the next thing we need to add on is the track mat so we can identify what the source is that it's going to be using. Effect controls. And now with this, we'll look at the Matte Alpha. I'll put it on Luma for a start, and we want it to be directed to this one down here, which is V3. And you can see that it's starting to interfere with the image. So that's good. So with this, I'm just going to go option, and I'm going to do a few duplicates with this. They've already got the track matting and everything on them, so they're all going to kind of line up. I grab all of those, option. Oh. And drag them down. So there we go. We've got that sequence going through now. What I need to do now is, because I don't want all these separate clips, is I'll grab all of this and I'll go up to clip and I'll go nest. So I've given it a sequence, and now I've got all that track matting, and it's all on one layer, but I can see that it's not scaled up as much as I want, or it's not moved the right way, so I can reposition them. Now I'm just going to move them down there. So that's good. So I've got all of that, and I'll just use the frame by frame to get to the bit where he ends, and then I can crop it down. So I've got Nathan there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate him. So Option, pop him up the top. So we've got him here. And so with this one up the top, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to add an effect. So I'm going to come into Effects. I'm going to add in color. And there's color, and there's one here called full color gradient. So I'll check that on. And then we've got this, and I can, if I go into effects, I can play around with the colors. I don't know if I want that kind of blue. I want something that's a bit softer, a bit brighter. So I'll go okay. And so it's all adding into this kind of coloration. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up to the motion. I'm going to scale it up and push it over to the side a wee bit. Switch the one on underneath, and actually I'll just offset them slightly. And with this one, I'm going to change when the overlaid a bit more. I'm going to try changing the opacity. I'm going to change the blending mode, put it on something like screen. Screen is a bit better, where it's we can see the interaction with Nathan over the top of it. And let's see how it's looking. So we'll pull it in a bit closer. It just appears. I'll have to think about some way that this comes in and starts to interact. I'm going to try and move it around a wee bit better so that I get a slightly more interesting result with the interaction. And I'm also going to go to Effects, get one called Flip Horizontal, just so it's not exactly copying what's going on with Nathan underneath. Right, so I've got those options there. So I'm going to pull this down a bit so I can see more video layers. And I'm going to add some tracks. So Control click on the layer here. I'll get the option that says add a track or add tracks if I want to add in a number of them. So now we're going to look at the ink spot in the background. So I'm going to move these to a little bit. And we've still got that interaction there that's good. So I'm going to look at how this one can be kind of introduced in. And so under Project, we've got, I've got another one, which is the Mitch Martinez. And actually I'll put a new link in the tutorials and resources section at the bottom that takes you directly to the page where you can download these ink blobs. So if we look at what's going on, it's another just a black and white video. So I'm going to get that and drop it over the top of our other image. I'm just going to plus in because it starts off with a bit of a black spot, and I'm just going to crop that in so that it's starting with white. There we go. And so the same thing, we get a track matte, effects, track matte, drop it on the bottom image, and then on that bottom image, we go to effects and say, what do you want to hook it up to? And we want to hook it up to V2. We want it to be Luma. And so we've got this, and we can inverse it, which is the way we want it. It's a bit small at the moment, so just click on that particular layer for what's the track matte, go to the motion and scale it up a bit. So I'm just going to reduce this back down. Let's play it, see how it's looking. Okay, when this happens, when everything starts to slow down, if you look at the timeline, you can see this red. So that and the yellow are slowing things down. So you highlight everything and go sequence, render selection. And it goes through and it does a quick fire kind of render. So when it's done that, what you'll find is when you play it, it'll start to play through at a much more decent speed. If I grab all of these, and move them up a layer, you'll see that Nathan's okay, but the track matting has been lost here. So if I undo that, so what I want to do is I want to grab these two layers, I want to clip them, and I want to nest them. I'll call it background. Now it means that I can move that, and the track matting won't get lost because it's all within one group. Now I can come up to my projects and I can go File, New, and make a color matte. So in this case, I'm just going to go okay, and I'm just going to make it white. White. Drag it down the bottom here, and then drag it out. So now I'm going to have this white background in there the whole time. Maybe it would be a bit more interesting if I changed it to another color, but we'll leave it at white at the moment. Actually, I'll change it. Oh, that was a terrible color. Okay, we'll go with that. And actually, I do want to start is white and change color. I'll change it when it gets to this point with Nathan. So I will bring in a new one, and I can do it here as well. New color matte, white, call it, this is white. Drop it in here and drag it out. And what I'll do is I'll just go to effects, delete the track, and I'll go to video transitions, dissolve. I'm just going to get a crossfade and chuck it on the two. If I plus up on that a bit so I can see it, then I can click on the cross dissolve and look at it in the effect. So it's from the center, that's what I want, and it's 1 second. So yeah, I'm okay with that. Click in here and minus down again and see what we've got. So it comes out, and then it starts with Nathan. So I'll play it. So me, the first bit before Nathan comes in, one, he could come in a wee bit earlier. So I'll grab these 2 tracks, drag them back a bit. And then if I zoom in here, it's good. But at this stage, it's a little bit boring. So what I'm going to do is boring. So I'm going to go effects, type in GAU, which is going to bring in Gaussian blur. And I'm going to drop that on the Nathan track and then go to effect controls. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into Gaussian blur. I'm going to keyframe it, go 1, 2, with the frames on a bit further, blur it, 1, 2. It'll automatically make a keyframe, and I'll take it back, but it's still a bit blurred. 1, 2, up a bit, 1, 2, 3, drop it down, 1, 2, 3. So I can flick it up a bit, 1, 2, down, 1, big blur, 1, all the way down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or we'll take it all the way up to where Nathan is, and then I'll drop it right back down to clear. So if we play this little bit, so it's almost like a shimmer, but the main thing with videos is it's giving it some kind of active moment, because the problem is you can end up with videos that look very kind of stark and very plain because you're just going along playing something and then jumping to the next point. So if I minus that down, we're starting to get something that's a bit more interesting. I'm going to bring the playhead to this point. I'm just into these tracks, minus down, and I'm just going to bring these long bits in a bit. So the next bit I'm going to bring in is I've got my Hello Kitty video. So I'm going to click on that top one, shift, click all these frames, bring it, drop it in, then go clip, nest. Okay, so now I've got my kitty track. What I did with this as well is I went back to the Photoshop files and I just did things like option delete, where I just kind of filled it with colors and painted brushes across it with transparency to change the color of it. So with this now, I can see it's a bit small, so I'm just going to go to the effect controls, scale, up it up slightly, oops. And then if I double click on it, I can move it around. What I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to use the keyframing. So at near the end, I'm going to keyframe that position. If we go back to the start of that clip, I'm just going to take the size down so I can see it. Double click, I'm just going to drag it all the way off. So it should just move on. Fit it back in the frame. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to go to select all, sequence, render selection. In this case, it seems to be stalling out a wee bit. I've got it on half. I'll try taking it down to a quarter and seeing if that plays it through. It's just giving me a visual resolution that's a little bit lower, but it's easier on the processing for the machine. And you can see now that it goes through a little bit better. If I put it up on full, you'll see that it probably chugs a little bit slower or stalls because there's some heavy process in it for it to undertake. So I'll put it back on quarter. Good. So this is the point as well where you can do little renders. I might say, and this is to do with the workbook. There might be that little bit with the blur that I talk about. So if I put in an in point, play along, out point, I want to talk about that bit. Then if I go Command M to render it, it's going to come up with just that little section. And then I can go through, render that, and put it up on my workbook. So as you go along, doing these little Command M renders is a good way to go. I'm going to cancel that out, and I'm just going to render the full thing. To get rid of these in and out points, if I go Option X, it will get rid of them. So I'll go Command M for a full render, give it a name and where it's going to. Final start. Match source, everything else looks good. I don't need order because I haven't got any in there yet. After I've queued it, it comes up in the media encoder. Click on it and play, and it's going to go through and render it. Quick time, we can play it. Now with QuickTime, if you do a little clip and it's more than 10 megabytes, you can't put it up on Trello. You can only link it off your OneDrive. So if I want this to be a little bit smaller, Under QuickTime, I can go to File, Export As. Because we've been doing 1080p, I can put it down on a smaller size. 720 is usually good enough, but 480 will do it as well.